At first, the glowing paint seemed magical. The tiny watch dials lit up in the dark like stars. Workers would paint the numbers during the day and turn off the lights just to watch them glow. The effect was beautiful. The women who worked there even began decorating themselves with it. They painted their fingernails, their teeth, sometimes their lips. At night, they would leave the factory shimmering faintly green. Friends called them the glowing girls, but within a few years, some of those same women began to notice something terrifying. Their teeth started falling out, their jaws began to rot, and the glow inside their bodies never went away. At the start of the 20th century, radium was one of the most exciting scientific discoveries in the world. Discovered by Marie Curie in 1898, the element produced a mysterious energy that made certain materials glow. Scientists barely understood radiation at the time. What they did know was that radium looked extraordinary. Tiny quantities emitted light continuously without needing heat or electricity. To many people, it seemed almost magical. Companies began adding radium to consumer products, toothpaste, hair creams, hair tonics, and, most famously, luminous paint used to make watch dials readable in the dark. Demand exploded. Factories needed workers with steady hands to paint the delicate numbers, and thousands of young women eagerly applied for the job. The dial painting factories were considered excellent places to work. Compared to many industrial jobs, the conditions seemed clean. The work required precision rather than heavy labour, and the pay was good. Young women, many in their late teens or early 20s, filled the painting tables. Each worker used a fine brush to apply luminous paint to tiny numbers on watch faces. But there was a problem. The brushes quickly lost their shape. To fix this, supervisors taught the women a simple technique. They called it lip pointing. The painter would place the brush between her lips, twist it to a sharp point, and dip it back into the radium paint. Over and over again, hundreds of times a day. At first, the women noticed only small problems: fatigue, toothaches, occasional jaw pain. Doctors treated the symptoms as minor infections, but the pain grew worse. Teeth began falling out unexpectedly. When dentists attempted to remove damaged teeth, something horrifying happened. Sections of jawbone sometimes came away with them. The bone had begun to disintegrate. Radium behaves chemically like calcium. Once inside the body, it becomes embedded in bone. And unlike most poisons, radium does not simply pass through. It remains there, constantly emitting radiation inside the skeleton. For the women who had swallowed radium paint day after day, the consequences were catastrophic. Their bones began to weaken, jaw tissue died, ulcers formed in their mouths. Doctors later described a condition so severe that parts of the jaw could crumble under slight pressure. It became known as a radium jaw. As the illnesses spread, the companies that produced radium paint faced a crisis. Admitting the cause would mean accepting responsibility, and responsibility meant lawsuits. Instead, many companies denied the connection entirely. Some claimed the women were suffering from unrelated diseases. Others suggested poor hygiene. In several cases, company doctors were accused of falsifying medical reports. Meanwhile, the women continued to grow sicker. Some could barely eat, others developed severe anemia, and the glowing element inside their bones continued its silent work. Eventually, several of the workers decided to take legal action. This was not easy. Many were already gravely ill. Some could not stand without assistance, but they wanted the truth recognized. Their case would become one of the first major industrial safety lawsuits in American history. The companies fought back aggressively. Lawyers delayed proceedings. Medical testimony was challenged. The strategy was simple: wait, because the women bringing the lawsuit were dying. When the case finally reached court, the sight shocked observers. Several of the plaintiffs were visibly dying. One woman reportedly had to be carried into the courtroom. Another was so weak she could barely raise her hand to swear an oath. But their testimony forced the public to confront what had happened inside the dial painting factories. The story spread rapidly through the newspapers. The glowing paint that once symbolized scientific progress had become a symbol of corporate neglect. Eventually, the companies agreed to settle. The women received financial compensation and coverage for medical expenses. More importantly, the case forced new workplace safety standards. Protective equipment became mandatory in industries handling radioactive materials. The tragedy of the Radium Girls helped establish modern occupational health laws, but for many of the women involved, justice came too late. Several died before the case concluded. Others spent the rest of their lives dealing with the consequences of radiation poisoning. Today, the watches those women painted still glow faintly in the dark. Radium's half-life is more than 1600 years. Long after the factories closed, the paint continues to emit radiation. A reminder of a time when the dangers of the element were poorly understood and of the workers who unknowingly carried that glow inside their bodies. They began as young women, excited by a new technology. They ended as victims of one of the most disturbing industrial disasters of the 20th century, the Radium Girls. Their story changed labour laws and revealed the hidden cost of scientific progress, because sometimes the brightest discoveries cast the darkest shadows.